there's just things you can't really prepare for until you put yourself in that situation. You don't really know what it's going to feel, what your body's going to feel like, what the swing's going to feel like.
Next up on the number one tee.
Well, hello and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori. Today we have a treat. We have Sam Engel in the house. I actually, in the background, I call you Bucket. Okay. And you showed up today without a bucket hat.
Yeah, I did. Very out of character.
It is your look, though. So
Did you recognize me? No bucket?
I mean, I did, because you look very much like my nephew, Max. Max was at the Desert Classic last year, so I know you met him. Well, Sam is like a taller version of Max. I think that's why I like you so much, to be honest.
You know, everybody tells me I look like their friend. I got old plain face, or it's the beard or something.
Really?
So, yeah.
And you always wear a bucket hat when you play golf.
I do. The simple answer is I'm just trying to protect my ears. And I have
getting sunburn?
Yeah, I just don't want to be, down the road when I'm going to be hopefully playing golf for a long time, be out in the sun. I really just don't want to damage my ears. And I have an oddly shaped head. So hats look they sit a little sideways on my head.
They do?
Yeah.
See, now next time I see you, I would take my hat off and have you try it on, but I don't know. I don't know if that would be too weird or not. It's your first time on the show, so we got to ease you in.
Yeah. I don't know. I swore off the regular hats, and now the bucket hat's just my thing now.
Okay, so if you are from the Arizona area, you play Arizona State golf, you know who Sam is. He's constantly either winning the tournaments or top 5, top 10. You're a good player. How long have you been playing?
I started playing competitively the end of my sophomore year of high school, summer going into my junior year of high school.
So pretty late.
Yeah, I was a late starter.
And what was that like? Did you just start playing high school golf right away? And it seems like, was it tough to get on the team, or did you not even do that? Yeah,
so I had a friend. I was a hockey player in the desert, ironic. And I had a friend who had the junior membership at Eagle Mountain. It was like $10 maybe to play an hour after twilight with a cart, and $2.50 for food. My parents were just getting divorced, and so my mom wanted to drop me and my brother off anywhere. So for $20 for 5 hours of babysitting, we just started playing every day. And I tried out for the high school team my junior year, and I was nowhere good enough to be on the Desert Mountain high school golf team. No chance. But luckily I got the coach to give me a chance and kind of worked my way in from there. But my junior year, I wasn't in the lineup very much. I had to really just fight to just play in the high school tournaments. So that's kind of where I started, and haven't had a lot of days off since then. Just been playing a lot of golf since around then. But I played about once a year with my dad before that point.
Did you play college golf?
I did. Yeah, I played at the California State University at Northridge.
Where is that?
It's in North LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like in the valley, the San Fernando Valley.
Okay. I have to relate to your mom dropping you off at the golf course. My mom liked to drop me off at the tennis club when I was in high school. So or middle school, high school, like that was my babysitting realm, is just being at the tennis club. Tennis clinics, and then, it'd be 6:30. I'm from Rochester, New York, so it's like pitch black out, depressing, cold, waiting for mom to pick me up, and that was my life growing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to get some good babysitting.
Exactly. So tomorrow is a big day. Tell everyone where you're going.
I'm headed to New York, actually, for the U.S. Mid-Am. Very exciting. I'm going a little bit early. I used to work out in New York. I used to caddy in the Hamptons. So I'm going to go, the green's going to be a lot faster. The grass is going to be different. The ball's going to go a different distance. So I figure for a big tournament like this, I work remotely. So I'm going to go a little bit early, play the course I used to work at.
It is. Doesn't it start, what does it start, September 9th?
September 9th is the actual start.
Okay, so yeah, you're definitely going a full week early. Sorry, continue. What's your plan? Yeah,
so I'm going to go practice and play, out there, just try to acclimatize myself to, the conditions out there, because, we have 2 official practice rounds because there's 2 different courses. It is really different than playing on, summer golf in Arizona, where the ball goes really far. The greens are mostly really slow, and it's Bermuda. So we're going to play a fast bent greens, which, switching for a big tournament, I'd rather have more than two days to prep.
Exactly, to acclimate. That was not your first time trying to qualify for the Mid-Am.
No, I honestly haven't even counted because I'm like, I don't want to know, but I've tried to qualify for USGA championships since probably my freshman year of college. I probably tried, every single one, US Open, US Am. Once I became 25, played US Mid-Am. I think this was my fourth time trying to qualify for the Mid-Am. So it's been...
And this is your first one?
This is my first one,
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Yeah. Stop. Oh my God. What made you choose? Because you qualified somewhere else. You didn't try and qualify in Arizona. Where'd you try and qualify?
I went to Idaho.
And why was that?
So my aunt and uncle live in Eagle, just outside Boise, or like a suburb of Boise. Mm-hmm. And so I always try to coordinate when I can, my golf trips with, going to see people. And yeah, I went last year for US Am qualifying. And this year, the dates I had a work trip during the Arizona qualifier because I'm like trying to play more of the qualifiers here. I feel like I play well in Arizona. I shouldn't be running away, just because I'm afraid of Chris Kaman. I don't want to, run. And, he wasn't even playing in the qualifier this year, but, I couldn't make the dates work this year. So I was actually going to go to Albuquerque, and I ended up changing kind of last minute because my family was going to be in town in Boise. So I figured I'd just go spend some time. It was, good vibes, and almost qualified for the USAM there last year. So I figured I'd just go, get a little bit cooler weather and, just try for something else.
And you ended up getting medalist, which is the lowest score for the qualifying round. How was it going up those last couple holes? You were obviously feeling good about your round. What was going on that day?
Yeah, so back up just a little bit. The weekend before the qualifier, I played in the Southern Am, which is an Arizona Golf Association event, and I was leading going into the final round, and I think I played a little bit not to lose in the final round. I started off really bad. I birdied the first 3 holes, and I'm like, I got this. Mm-hmm. But as we started kind of getting down, I think I got a little bit, I forgot how I got to where I was. Mm-hmm. And I got a little bit tentative, and, I maybe was thinking about winning or maybe not screwing up. And it's not that I did anything crazy. It kind of took me out of the zone. Right. And so then going into the qualifier, I had a great front nine. I think I turned at 31, which in a qualifier like that, that's awesome. And I was thinking, okay, let's keep the pedal down, play smart. And, the back nine, I ended up making 8 pars and a birdie. I took care of one of the par 5s. And the last few holes, I was the first group, so there was no one in front of me. I was walking a little fast. My caddy was having a hard time keeping up with me. He's training now for the Mid-Am. Uh-huh. But I was just, thinking about, making very committed golf swings down the stretch. I knew that I wouldn't regret, how I finished up if every swing I made was 100% committed. That was the thought in my head. I knew I'd be okay with the result. Was
there any shot on that back nine where you had to make a decision of how aggressive you were going to be? And in a normal situation, you would be aggressive, but you chose to come back? Or was there any shot that you really had to think about?
Yeah, there was the 17th hole. There's a tee shot. Like if you hit driver, you could go in the water, but there was a lot of room to the right, almost like the 18th hole was to the right. And but there's a couple trees over there. So my caddy and I had actually talked about it the day before, depending on kind of where we were, what we were going to do. And I hit it intentionally pretty far right. Ended up kind of being behind a tree, sort of. But I was able to kind of just chip it onto the front of the green. Or actually, I kind of think I got it pin high back there. But yeah, just try to be really conservative, aggressively committed to my line, but definitely playing away from the trouble because there was just no point to trying to go the traditional way of the hole there. So
you won this spring. You won the Phoenix City and the Mid-Am, the Arizona Mid-Am. So you finished those 2 golf tournaments solid. Obviously, you walked away with a W. So why did that tightness come up for the Southern, you think?
To be fair, I doubled the last hole at the Phoenix City to win by 1. And I bogeyed the last 2 holes at the Mid-Am to win by 1. So example A of that's where the tightness came. I think it's really, really hard to simulate winning. And it had been a while for me since I'd really been in contention in events that, multiple day events like that. Mid-Am being the first 4-day event that I ever won. So I think there's just things you can't really prepare for until you put yourself in that situation. You don't really know what it's going to feel, what your body's going to feel like, what the swing's going to feel like. I hope to think that that's not a trend, but I mean, it does happen. And, I was able to still get it done in the Southern Am. I think that just some of that came up, and I just, learned that you need to just still keep that commitment. That's what got you there in the first place. So keeping that commitment. And this is the reason I wanted to really have you on the podcast was I was following you along last year and really good finishes on most of the big tournaments.
And then this year you start, like there was a switch. Like all of a sudden it's not just great finishes, it's great finishes and 2 wins. And that's a big deal because your fields are so good that to all of a sudden not just have 1 win, now you have 2 wins this season and you qualified for the Mid-Am. So I wanted to know what changed. And actually now knowing that you started playing later in life comparatively, like you weren't a 5-year-old hanging out at the country club by any means. You started later in your high school career. You got this bug of grinding it out all these years. Like you said, you haven't had a day off, which that's an interesting statement. And you still love golf.
The fact that it was my idea, like nobody made me play. Nobody made me be a tournament player. Nobody made me play in college. Like I was just what I wanted to do. And I think just because it's my passion, right? Like I get a lot of fulfillment out of practicing and getting better and doing better in tournaments and figuring out the things that make me a better player or things that work well for me.
Yeah.
So I think it's like more just self-motivation.
Yeah.
I've had days off, but just for a while, there was a long time where I probably went years without having more than 5 or 10 days I didn't touch a club.
Yeah. Before we get into, we kind of had a couple things that you mentioned that changed from, or that you really worked on in this past year. So I want to get into those 5 things. But first, before I forget, because I'm terrible at like taking notes during the podcast. There's sometimes where I want to take notes during the podcast, but then I don't hear what you're saying. And then I'm like, get lost as it is. So before I forget, let's talk about the caddy situation. Who are you going to have as your caddy at the Mid-Am? Is it the same as in the qualifier? Who is it?
It is, yeah. So my cousin, Jess, is her boyfriend, Braden. He played some college golf. I went out there and he played the practice round. Took 2 days off work to caddy for me and play the practice round with me. And one of his questions, he said, if you qualify, am I coming with you to New York? Of course. They're like, if you commit to, and I have a hard time, right? Like you want friends to caddy for you or, significant other to caddy for you, but sometimes it can get, you want to play your best, right? The goal of the caddy is to help you play your best. And, he was an amazing caddy. So I told him before, that if we made it, like he can definitely come. And I didn't know if he would actually, a lot of people say a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
But follow through is, and
it's a big commitment.
Right. It is a big commitment.
Because it could be a week.
100%. Well, it's more. He's flying in Wednesday. He's going to caddy Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then hopefully we make it to match play and keep going, for many more days. So it's a huge commitment. I think he can work remotely a little bit as well too, but to keep that same dynamic, he did a really, really good job. We started off hot, right? And he kept his composure, wasn't like, are you 5 under right now? Right? Like, that's, yeah.
You're 5 under right now.
Like, are you going to win?
You're going to win.
Right. So like, he kept it cool. Like he kind of understood what, helped me play well.
Tell me, what helps you play well?
Well, I think that he didn't get too high, too low, right? Just like, it's never fun when, somebody is like, oh, you're 3 under now, you're 4 under now. What do you think is going to make it? Right. And just kind of making you think about things you don't need to think about when you're playing the tournament. Like, let's stay in the moment, right? Like, let's celebrate when we're done. And I think he did a really good job of kind of keeping the emotions kind of level, kind of feeding off of kind of what I was doing. I do have a tendency to walk really fast when I get a little bit anxious. So he was definitely lagging behind, and I was like, you don't need to try to keep up. You're going to be running.
I try and think of a Dustin Johnson walk, because I too will start to speed up, especially like when I know I'm having a good round, or you just know some
you're trying
days.
to get it done as fast as possible.
Exactly. Or like, okay, wait, I know I'm playing well. Let's just keep playing well and get this done. And I start to walk faster, and I have to say, okay, let's start walking like Dustin Johnson. Let's just have a swagger to you, a little slower, please.
I get the Rory walk, but not as good.
So how about green reading? Because I find it tough either when I'm caddying or when I have a caddy to like, what's the best way to help my player or to allow the caddy to help me and still be able to step over a putt or have my player step over a putt and really trust it. It's kind of like an art of how much do you say, how much do you not say?
Well, I love that, because I actually have a guideline that I've been following for the last few years. Is I was the same way. I would get a caddy and I'd be like, what do you think? Well, I've been reading the greens for myself for as long as I've been playing, right? In tournaments. And there are some people that maybe know exactly how I putt and are like, I know you typically like to use this type of speed, or maybe you want to play a higher line. And when you like ask somebody who doesn't really know your game or who isn't putting, what's the read here? I feel like for me, it kind of throws me off, right? It's out of my routine. So what I typically do now is, unless I have no idea which way it's going, and a lot of times I'll like, we had a big putt that we made that maybe could have been the difference. Maybe it was a momentum gainer, but we had like a 12-footer for birdie really fast down the hill, but I couldn't figure out which way it was going to go. I felt like it was maybe going a little bit right. So I said, Braden, do you think this is going left? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I think it's going right, so it's straight.
Yeah.
And like, he really thought it was going left, but I really thought it was going right. And so I played it in the center, and it was straight.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like the only time that I really ask for a read is if I have no idea which way it's going.
Yeah.
Typically, if you have no idea, it's probably straight because,
It's a good point. Or if it's just such a 2-tiered putt.
Yeah.
And it's like rinky dink and it's 50, 60 feet. There's some of those I have zero. Like, I have an idea, but it's not even close to being confident whatsoever. So when I'm caddying for a player, that it is also harder to be confident over a read because, again, I don't have the putter in my hand. I'm not feeling the greens like they are. And I'm like a plumb bobber, and I have my own routine to kind of finalize what read I'm going to use.
Yeah.
And when you're a caddy, you don't have that routine. So it's like, how can I be so confident over a read when I'm not going through my own routine,
Yeah. And I was a caddy for years, right? So I was caddying for folks that, were relying on me completely to read the green. And it's tough. I mean, you have to be really confident in your read, but it is hard when you're not you're the one hitting the ball. It's kind of hard to, you don't have the feel of the greens really. I mean, you can see maybe like it's going left or right, but I would just think about like an apex point of like, if the ball rolls over this spot with good speed, I feel like it's going in, and that's a good way to when you caddy for people, because it helps them see, the line. I always think of it as like, I grew up playing like the Tiger Woods video game, right? There was like the putt view, the putt vision, right? You like use the extra focus for it to trace the line for you. And that's how I always like see putts, right? So it's when people are like, it's 2 balls out, I'm like, I'm not looking at the whole, I'm looking at I don't even know how to describe the putt view, like the line. I'm looking at the speed, because that helps them. You gotta, there's a lot more to putting than just the line, right?
Exactly. And you said you were caddying in the Hamptons.
Yep.
That sounds
two
like
summers.
It could be an amazing reality TV show.
Yeah, it could be for sure. Absolutely.
What brought you to the Hamptons to caddy?
So I was working in commercial real estate during COVID, or before COVID, and COVID hit, and I was doing like retail sales and leasing.
And in that Northeast area?
No, I was in Scottsdale.
Okay.
And so when COVID hit, I was like, I don't think anybody's going to be leasing any space anytime soon. And I was new, I had just started, and I had a friend who worked in the Hamptons as a caddy. I played high school golf with. And he was like, he had been trying to convince me to come for a while. It finally hit my point of like, okay, I think this is a good time to go. It'll be a good way to make some cash. I had tried to play professional golf after college, so I'd spent a lot of my money, all of it. So I was, working in commercial real estate, but I was new and I wasn't really making money. And I was like, I got to the point where I'm like, I need like this instant money. You don't, every day you're getting paid.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, okay, I could go for this.
Now's the time.
Yeah, and I mean, it was kind of hard to like, you go work in Southampton for the summer, and play these amazing golf courses, right? You get awesome privileges there, when you're not working. So
you went out there and you caddied for 2 seasons? 2
seasons, yeah. I came back, in like end of October. Obviously, it gets cold and rainy there, so I came back here, came home, drove home.
That's a nice drive.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
So I'm from Rochester, New York. So there's a lot of times actually, well, not me, but my husband and the kids will make the drive from here to Rochester because they like to drive.
Yeah.
So they'll stop in Oklahoma City, Indianapolis, and then make it to Rochester after that. Do you have similar stops?
So we did the first day at Oklahoma City, which is a big drive. It's like 18 hours. It's a big drive. And then we would do Oklahoma City to Nashville, DC, and then DC to Long Island, and then furnish the apartment the last day, like, because we would just rent a place for the season. So that was,
you just don't know where these podcast conversations are going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't know. Wow. So caddying though in the Hamptons, that if any Bravo executives are listening, that is a good reality TV show
Absolutely.
topic.
I don't know. I don't think the people out there would be interested.
That is why it would be so interesting.
Well, the members wouldn't. They would be the ones that shoot them. They don't want the attention. They don't want people to know.
No. But I would love to hear it all. Okay, so the 5 things that changed in the past year that has really clicked for you. Again, you are getting the results that you have been working towards for years this year. What has changed? Let's go through it. What's the first thing? The
first thing is your little speed training deal, the stack. So Marty Jertson and Sasha McKenzie, who came up with the stack. So my brother works for Marty at Ping. I had been seeing this stuff for a while. I had the speed sticks, which was kind of a different product a while ago, but it didn't have the stack is the hardware and the software, right? So this was just the hardware, and they had some workouts prescribed for you, but it wasn't. I never really committed to it. I never got into it. But the stack, I realized that I was never a short hitter, but I was definitely shorter. I mean, I'm tall. And I felt like I should be, I'm not that strong, but I felt like I could at least hit it farther than I was, right? I had focused so long on distance control, and I felt like I'd slowed down my swing. Kind of similar to what you were talking about. You lost some speed. I definitely lost speed from when I was in college to after. And I knew that I was hitting it straight, but it just wasn't, my strokes gained off the tee probably wasn't as good as it could be because I just didn't have the speed that I could have. And
again, not to compare, but you are playing with really good players in these state tournaments and national qualifiers. Were you further back than others? Could you see it visually, or is it just something you were still matching, going head to head with these guys, but you still wanted a little bit more? What was it?
Yeah, I was behind a lot of people that I felt like I should have been in front of. I mean, not like I really was, trying to focus on my own game, but I definitely realized that I was leaving, if I could improve something, right? My driving distance, which a lot of people are very interested in, increasing. I didn't want to, lifting heavy weights for me doesn't really work. I do yoga to try to work on my stability, mobility, but I got all as much I could out of that.
Yeah.
But I really needed something that was going to, kind of take me to the next level, really give me the extra 5 miles an hour or something, that I could do. Because I just hurt myself working out. I got bad tendonitis in my wrists and elbows, and I can either play golf or work out, and I'm going to play golf.
So tell us about your experience with the stack system then.
So I've been working with it probably for a year now, let's say. It's super easy. You just follow the instructions, which is great because you know what you're doing. I think you're loose and you're ready to swing as hard as you can is super important. I mean, I don't think anybody would recommend just swinging as hard as you can with a weighted training aid, right out of the car. I just followed the instructions and trying not at first I was okay, I'm going to try to swing as hard as I can. I'm doing all these weird things, right? Trying to lift my feet or jump at the ball. And then I realized, which is normal, I think, to try to you're excited. But then I'm okay, let's take a step back. What are we doing this for, right? We're doing this for that cruising swing when you're on the golf course, when you're playing a tournament. If you train with the stack, is going to be faster. It's going to be faster. Yeah. It's hard to put a number on it, based off how long you've been doing it, but you get that jump, right? So you're hitting it 10, 20 yards further, right? So that becomes...
Which is a big deal. 10 or 20 yards is a big deal.
A huge deal. Because it's with all the clubs, right?
Yeah.
Par fives become, that weren't reachable or maybe were barely reachable, become confidently and accessible for me. And then just being closer, having shorter clubs in, and it didn't, I think a fear for a lot of people is, if I gain a lot of speed, I'm going to start losing control of my ball. But I'm not doing anything different on the course. I just have a little bit more speed. And that's, at the level that we're playing at is a huge difference.
I don't know about you, but when I go out and practice, I need a plan. If I have an outline of exactly what I need to work on with corresponding drills, the odds of me completing it and feeling good about my session are so much higher. Now, I love practicing my short game, but there are so many different aspects around it. From short putts to lag putts, chipping to pitching, bunkers to short wedge distances under 100 yards. There's a lot to cover, and it could be overwhelming. Or how about this? I tend to practice the things that I like and neglect the short game areas in my game that I don't like to practice, like bunkers. If this sounds like you, then Short Game 100 will help. This program has 30 individual practice plans which will help you stay focused and improve your short game quickly. These practice plans are simple and easy to use, and the sessions usually range from 30 to 45 minutes. Now, I don't have a ton of time to practice, so I use the Short Game 100 practice plans to make the most out of the time that I do have. And most importantly, keep my short game sharp and help get those golf scores lower. So for more information about this program, visit shortgame100.com for all the details and to purchase. Again, that's shortgame100.com for all the info.
Okay, you've been doing that for the past year, and I have to agree with you too. The best part about the stack system is the software. It leaves zero guesswork, and it also almost holds you accountable. Like, okay, your next workout is, for me, it's September 1st, and it just is like, okay, well, I'm going to show up September 1st and do it. Rather than if you just have a speed training device where you're on your own, guess what? I'm going to buy it, I'm going to use it once, and then it's going to collect dust. Like, I have to follow a plan.
100%. And I mean, you can set up like the alerts on your phone. You get a little like reminder, hey, you got to do your workout today.
Yeah.
And it's great because if you're practicing regularly, like at the end of your session of hitting balls, like you're loose, you're ready to go. You know, I take the stack out and do it's like 15, 20 minutes.
Exactly. All right, what's next?
That's what everybody says, but I've been working really hard on my chipping and putting.
Oh my God, you're so funny. You just rolled your eyes when you said that, but it's a big deal.
It is, but it's because it's a lot more fun to go play and to hit balls. And
oh my God, so you do that is what you feel though. Like you have more fun playing or just banging balls on the range.
Well, I'm really not a range rat. I'd rather just go play. So it's hard for me sometimes to like just go and work on chipping technique or go do like, stations of putting.
But you'll get more enjoyment out of going out just a casual round.
Yeah, I'll just put like when I'm done with work, I'll put my AirPods. I mean, hopefully play with someone. But if someone's not available or if I'm just have a little bit of time, throw my AirPods in and go play 9 holes and maybe go throw some balls down and hit different shots. I'm trying to be good at playing golf. I don't want to be good at the range. I don't really care. The range is for like getting loose.
I love this. Okay. You're trying to get better at playing golf. Okay, I like it. So you had to focus on your short game.
I found that the simple little chips, like, I spin it off the front of the green. Mm-hmm. It's like, maybe I'm going to putt it, maybe I'm going to chip it, but like, maybe I probably should chip it because there's some grain.
Yeah.
I was just like hitting them to like 8 feet. And then it's like, even if you're putting well, you're not going to make all those. Yes. And I was like, just giving away so many shots on these like easy chips.
So it was more the easy chips that you were concentrating on rather than these fancy flop shots, low percentage shots.
Trying to not hit those shots unless it's absolutely necessary. It's really fun to practice them, and then you get on the course, you're like, oh, like you just see it high, right? When it could be if you were good at the low, just normal bump and run or just normal pitch shot, you're gonna get it like inside 5 feet and walk. Like the goal is to make par and get out of there.
Yes.
So I forever. My friends would make fun of me. I would, try all these crazy shots. I would like weaken my top hand and I called a no knuckler and hit these like crazy, like just shots. Cause like I could, but it didn't like they were fun to hit in practice. And then you get in a tournament and you're like, okay,
am I really going to do the knuckler?
Yeah. Now I'm not gonna get this up and down, and so it got to a point where I was like giving up too many shots in competition because I was just being dumb, trying to hit like harder shots. And then I just wasn't good. I just didn't practice the simple pitch shots, and I've seen, is that the difference between winning and a top 5? Getting a couple more balls up and down for me, maybe.
Mm-hmm. But that's so interesting that just that perspective on it. It's like, I just had to practice the easier way of getting up and down. It seems so simple, but it just,
you just try to simplify this. Tournament golf, especially. Just trying to simplify as many things as possible, because when you're under pressure, right, like hitting the high percentage shot that gets closer than the fun one or the cool one. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of pressure off the rest of your game if you can get up and down. Exactly. Right, like when you're standing in the fairway and you're maybe a little in between clubs, you might commit to that shot a little more because if it doesn't go well, like you can lean on your short game versus being like, I need to hit this close because I'm not putting well, I'm not chipping well.
And did the practice quickly give you confidence out on the course? So when you didn't hit the green, you were like, I can get this up and down.
Yeah, absolutely. I just,
it did translate pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just over time, like dedicating more time to chipping and putting, right? Like before, maybe you would your plan is to go to the course and you're going to hit X amount of balls, and then you're going to go to the putting green, you're going to chip, and then you hit balls, and you're like, meh. Like I'm gonna go into the grill and get a sandwich, and then you're done. You're like, I'm kind of full. I don't want to go putt. I mean, that's happened to me 100 times, right? And then over time, you see the drop off in your short game, right? And it puts a lot of. I mean, you're gonna miss greens in tournaments, right?
Yeah,
so
it's gonna happen. So what about your putting? Like what were you struggling with, or what were you really working on?
So in college, I was super diligent. I had this. I still have it, and I use it all the time. But I had this metal ruler, right? It's like the walk the plank drill, right? For me, it makes it, I can put the putter against the ruler, so you're square. You find a straight putt and you just put it on the ruler, and it builds the confidence in the 5 footers. You're aligned correctly, and so I had kind of stopped doing that for a while. So I started doing that a lot more. Started using a chalk line, doing like the gate drill, just kind of things to like check my fundamentals, make sure that my alignment was good, so that when I'm in a tournament and I have these putts, I'm like, I feel aligned properly. And then just working incredibly hard on my speed. The tournaments that I've felt the best in this year have been the ones where I have 30, 40 feet. And I know that like when I make contact, I'm like, okay, like that's decent speed, because it makes you really nervous when you start getting a little further away and you're like putting it to like 6 feet or 4 feet or 5 feet. And you're like, every hole is stressful because you gotta really grind over those putts.
Yeah. Do you feel like you can practice your distance putts, your 30, 40, 50 footers at your home course, and it still translates onto all the other courses? Or is this something you're really focusing on pre-round?
It's a good question. So I do both. When I go play a practice round at a tournament course, or even before the first round, I'll try to kind of do those speed drills. It's a little like embarrassing to try to like set up like tees and like a, whatever. So like I, maybe do like a variation.
You start monopolizing the whole side of the putting green.
But at home, I think that like your I try to like play a lot of golf with my subconscious, like just get out of my own way. Like really just, it's like almost like I'm throwing a basketball or throwing a ball to someone. You just like kind of with your eyes, right? You feel the shot. And so I try to like really incorporate a lot of that into my putting, my speed putting. I really just try to fill my mind and my heart up with the hole, right? And I feel like when I let it go, it's a little bit more of like a reaction to like, you just let your body do it.
Because you've been practicing this whole time. So it's like, just trust it.
Right, exactly. And so, I just do a lot of speed drills that I think eventually, like, it's all like tempo, and then you get out there, and once you adjust to the speed of the greens that you're on, you just feel like I'm going to get it relatively close, at least to the hole, maybe just kind of dying there.
Hey, and some of them go in.
It's nice when the hole gets in the way.
Exactly.
It's going to get in the way eventually.
It does. Okay, number 3.
Number 3, I got engaged.
Oh, yes. I did want to talk about Lexi, too. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so just being in a good place in life right now, and just being happy. And she's awesome. And I just think, I don't know, like, I won my first tournament right after I got engaged. I think there was maybe a little bit of, like, that was right before the mid-am, we got engaged a couple weeks before. And I had just won the Phoenix City before that, so maybe getting ready to, getting ready to get engaged. So I think that just having a really good partner and just being in a really good place in life is helpful.
Yes.
I think just, I don't have a lot to be upset about.
Or to stress over, or to distract you when you're on the course. There's something to be said for
it's a good place in life to be. And she's really supportive of my golf, which is super important. I've been in relationships before that, are you going to golf again? I'm like,
yeah.
So,
Well, does she play?
She doesn't.
Does she want to?
Not really. I don't think she'd rather like read her book. I know. I try I try to get her to play, but I'm like, I don't want to, like, I was never forced to play, and I don't think and I was like, it's going to take a lot of time and dedication for you to get to a point where you're like, you feel like comfortable playing, with us, and she would just rather come out and caddy, or just kind of like spend that quality time, which I love. But yeah, she just she doesn't have the.
Well, and you said she's a reader, so she has something that she does during that time where you're playing. Yeah, absolutely. Or she'll caddy. She's caddied for me in a lot of events. Yeah. It hasn't gone super well yet. Which, like, I don't know if that's related, but do you feel like you play differently? Do you get distracted? Do you feel like you want to impress her?
Well, she's really hard to impress. She took the dog for a walk while I was playing 9 holes one day, and I holed one out from like 60 yards and no reaction. So she's too hard to impress on the course anyway. So I'm not trying to impress her, definitely not. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think, it's not like I've played terrible, but I think just maybe just been a coincidence, so far. Because I mean, look, everything else has worked out since we got engaged. So
exactly. Well, congratulations. Is she going to go with you to the Mid-Am?
She's not. She's a nurse and she has to work.
She's got shit to do.
Yeah, she took a lot of PTO when we went to Italy for our engagement. So,
oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so she's still working back the PTO. Can't make it.
Oh, did she know that she was going to get engaged during that trip?
She said she didn't, but I don't know. Probably.
We know.
Yeah, she probably knew.
Yeah. Okay, what's number 4?
Yeah, I think just the stakes that we get to play for and just playing in a USGA championship, dream come true to just get to tee it up. Right. And to be in a place too where I feel I earned my spot in the field, but I also feel like I'm like, it's not like playing the USAM where like playing against a bunch of college kids who are going to win majors in the future. Yeah. It's playing against guys who have jobs just like me. And, like it's at a sweet course and I've been playing well. So
where is Sleepy Hollow?
It's in Terrytown, which is like, it's like just north of the city. Yeah. Yeah. Like Westchester.
Yeah, that's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually we already did 4 because you said you chipped more and then you worked a lot on your speed control with putting. Okay, so that was 4. That was 3 and 4. So the final thing is that you actually haven't changed things.
Yeah. So I think a really good example of that is when I got back from my engagement trip. I hadn't touched a club in a while. Not normal for me. Yeah. And not like you lose anything, but I was getting ready for the Mid-Am, which is a big tournament at TPC Champions, which is a hard course. And I was just feeling terrible about my game. And, you get to that point where like, oh, okay, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Let me try this. Everybody falls into that trap. It's really, really hard and then sometimes stuff works. So like, it kind of like, it keeps going. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what, dude, you've been playing great. Just stick to what you've been doing. What's been working, the stuff that you've been doing for years. I was able to like take myself out of that, like, oh, I'm going to try doing this or whatever, which when the tournament comes, it's not going to work. It might feel good on the range or in a practice round. Yeah. And I just was like, I'm just going to stick to what I've been doing and not tinker around these little things. I ended up playing great in the first round.
I know. Tell us about the champion. Tell us about the Mid-Am championship that you won. Like what did happen those 4 days? Because 4 days of stroke play feels like 6 months.
It feels like it's a lot.
It's a marathon.
Yeah, I got off to a great start. I think I shot maybe 68, 66 or something like one of those combos. And so got off to just a really good start. I was striking the ball. I wasn't driving it great. I had actually just had a fitting the day before, which is terrible to do before a tournament because they're like, this is wrong. I didn't have the clubs yet. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So I just was like...
You're like thinking of things that you weren't even thinking about just because of the fitting.
Well, in the same vein, I'm like, just stick with with what you've been doing. Just committing to the shots, right? It's a big theme here. It's just like, I always think of when you get into a tournament situation, you'll always regret it if you aren't committed to your shot because you're never setting yourself up for success. If you commit to your shot and hit a terrible shot, at least you tried your hardest. Yeah. So that's the kind of mindset I go with. Like, I'd rather embarrass myself trying really hard to do well than to be like caught in between, like, oh, I'm not sure if I should do this or whatever. Exactly. So I was just super committed and I was putting well, right? My speed was incredible. So I had a lot of confidence. Every stroke I made was super confident because I knew that the ball, like it wasn't going to be 10 feet by the hole. Right. I mean, nobody wants to be nobody wants to be grinding over 6-footers all day. Like it takes you out of the rhythm. And so I just got into a really good rhythm. And I wasn't lead. I never led the tournament until late on the Sunday.
And did you know it?
Oh, I knew.
Are you a scoreboard watcher?
A little bit, but like I like to know where I stand. Yeah. But that also makes me nervous sometimes. So it's like hard. Like I want to know what I have to do, but sometimes like you think like maybe that would have hurt you, or maybe it hurts. I don't know.
But you got up to enough lead on that Sunday afternoon that you said you bogeyed 17 and 18?
Yeah, so I probably hit the best shot of my life on the 16th hole. It was like a par 3.
Oh, is 16 the par 3?
16th par 3 was like 220 into the wind that day, and I got it to like 20 feet pin high, and I made it. And that gave me, I think the Jake Byram, who was leading, think he made bogey on the hole. So I ended up having like a 3-shot lead with 2 holes to play.
So you went into 17. So it's silly because I actually played this. The women's Mid-Am Championship was right after, so I actually know the holes. So 17 is a par 5. It was a hardy par 5 for the women. I don't know how far.
It's a big hole.
It's a big hole. So what happened on that hole?
I hit it in the bunker off the tee. I thought I hit a good shot, but the wind just kind of took a little to the right. Had to lay up. I know my third shot was decent distance, missed the green a little bit, and then I got it to like 5 feet. Wind was blowing, greens were fast, putt broke a lot, very nervous. Yeah. Just hit it way through the break, had 5 feet coming back from the other side.
Oh, Jesus.
And I luckily made that. I was like, it's maybe 50-50 putt, and I made the second one, so.
Oh my God. Okay, so wait. So then you go into 18, which has water down the entire left side.
And I'm a lefty, so I'm staring at it.
And you have to make a decision, at least for me, at the distance I was playing, like, do you pull driver or do you lay up with a 3-wood and have a gigantic number going into that green? So what'd you choose?
I chose hit 3-wood, hit it in the bunker anyways.
Oh, geez.
And so this ends up being a great story, a great.
So wait, I just want to tell the listeners the bunker that you hit it in is on the right side. All the water's on the left.
Yep.
So I imagine you are aiming right center of the fairway.
Yeah. Well, there was hard wind off the left, and I knew that I wasn't going to miss it left.
Yeah.
I swing out a little quick. I hooked it a little bit and went way far. I didn't think I could reach the bunker with the 3-wood. It barely got into like where when they rake the bunker. So it's like on a down slope. Oh. There's a tree in the way. Now there's still water all up the left. So my options were try to hit it towards the green, but there's a tree kind of on the right side, in my way, like in the bunker almost. Chip out to the left, which seems towards the water, which seems like a really scary play when you like might win. Yeah. Right, because that would be embarrassing to chip it to lay up into the water when you're going sideways.
That would be totally embarrassing.
Yeah. So I pulled a 6-iron out. I was like, okay, I'm just going to try to get it to the front of the green or like just short of the green, but kind of to the right. And I hit it. I just saw a puff of sand. I looked left because I'm like, is that going in the water? I didn't see it. I'm just looking towards the water. And it came out really hot, I guess. And I hooked it again. And the group in front of us was finishing, which was Chris Kamen's group. And it hit his cart and him, which kept the ball like, in a decent spot because they said it was going like towards some bushes. Well, I gave Chris Kamen the Heimlich maneuver at the Arizona-Utah matches, if you remember. So, the joke is that I saved Chris's life. And so this was the karma coming back to like save my ball. And
oh my God. No, because I remember you telling me that you hit his cart. So that was from the shot from the bunker.
Yeah.
It kept it in play.
Yep. It kept it it ended up like just by the cart path, like on the correct side, like on the grass.
Exactly.
I ended up taking relief, but it could have gone. It would have been really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been good.
Yeah. So you chip it on 2-putt. You bogey that. Are you playing with the player that's right behind you?
Yeah, he actually hit it in the water. No, we were the last group, and he hit it in the water off the tee. So that helped a little bit, ease a little bit. But I still I had a second shot. You don't want to hit your second shot in the water. No, especially if you're Oh my God, wait, I didn't realize you gave Chris the Heimlich in AZ Utah. When did that happen? Well, we were playing a practice round and he was eating a chicken sandwich and it went down the wrong pipe and I was the only guy I was right there. And
did you know right away that he was choking?
Well, I thought he was just just a little uncomfortable and then it just wasn't, didn't clear it. And then he kind of looked at me and I was like, okay, it's on, I'm like, wow. So I went over and of course my nurse fiance was like, you didn't do it right. But it worked. Yeah. Because I was showing her, I just, I think what you're supposed to, go up or what. And I just went over and, he's a big guy too.
He's huge.
So,
thank God you were there.
Yeah. So, and I birdied that hole and I won our match that day. So I was feeling great. The adrenaline was pumping. I've never been so pumped up on a next tee shot. And I was like, it's just shaking.
I saved lives almost. Today and I win golf matches.
Yeah. So, I think, Chris and I have joked about that, but that was just it's thankfully he was still there. I hope good thing I didn't hurt him with the ball because I think it hit him first and then his cart, but he was okay. So,
well, Sam, you've had an amazing first half of the season. You still have plenty to go. I wish you all the best in this Mid-Am. I am so excited for you to just experience it. I didn't realize it was your first time. So special.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
How are you managing your expectations?
I don't expect to win, but I'm not gonna go out there and expect not to, or think that it's not possible, right? So I'm going out there knowing that I could win. If it happens, great. But I'm gonna go out there and there's a job to be done in the first 2 rounds, and that's the style of golf is gonna be a little bit different than playing match play. But I love playing match play, so I'm just gonna go out there and get some great preparation and work on everything that I've been talking about, just doing a lot of chipping and putting, making sure that all those kind of facets of the game feel ready to go for a big championship, and then just go out there and just commit to every shot and see what happens.
Okay, I'm going to add one more bullet point to your checklist for the Mid-Am. You ready? One of my favorite content creators, John Sherman. He's a really good golf writer. He qualified too.
Awesome.
So he'll be there. So if you run into him, his name's John Sherman, you need to take a photo and send it to me. Even if it's a quick selfie. I would love it if you guys are paired together. That would be amazing.
I don't think we're paired. I got my pairing, but
You
I don't
did.
think we're not paired. If I run into him, I'll say hello.
All right, cool. Well, I wish you all the best. I will be following. I will be watching. I am a scoreboard watcher. I even this weekend, Women's Senior Open, I was watching that. I love to watch a scoreboard.
Yeah.
Do you like to watch a scoreboard?
Yeah, for other people, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I know my parents always, or my dad especially, big scoreboard watcher of when I was in college. Did you get hurt? What happened on that double? Yeah. So.
Well, I wish you all the luck, and you must come back and update us later this year. Whatever happens, I said if you win, you must come back right away. So
Absolutely.
We'll see. All right, thanks, Sam.
Thank you.